The customer can tell you what they're experiencing today and a little bit about what they think they need in the future. Oftentimes, the market will lead you in a direction based upon some sort of financial constraint or short-term objective where you are reacting to something that maybe you feel in your gut isn't quite right, but you do it anyway, and then oftentimes you find yourself in a trap. If you don't have high-performing teams, you can't deliver quickly for the customer, you can't pivot if you need to, and you really need to be able to react to whatever the market is demanding.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Devico Breakfast Bar. Here we speak with different people involved in the business landscape, share their expertise, delve into the latest tech trends, and explore the ins and outs of IT outsourcing. I'm Oleg Sadikov, and today I'm excited to have Brian Fugere, Product Officer at Symplr. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss new episodes. Hi Brian, and thanks for joining me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Let's start our podcast with a little blitz. I start a sentence and you continue.
All right, let's go.
Career in tech gave me
satisfaction of helping customers.
Career in tech deprived me.
My hair.
My main superpower is
building teams.
My main weakness is
patience and tolerance.
When I'm afraid, I
turn to help from friends.
What was your first step into the business world? Did you always envision a leadership role, or was it a journey or discovery?
I went to university on an ROTC scholarship, and so I went into the Air Force after I graduated from college. During my time, I deployed 4 times in 3 years, and my wife and I really felt that that kind of lifestyle wasn't for us. So when I got out, it was off to the business world, and I had always envisioned myself being a leader and really pushing hard to climb myself to the C-suite or even be a CEO one day, which I did accomplish. And from there, it became a journey, and I intentionally chose jobs that gave me a broad-based set of experiences that I could work with my teams and my colleagues and really understand where they're coming from. And so I have a pretty eclectic background. I've done lots of different things, but it's sort of always been a goal to be a leader within whatever organization I was in.
You have extensive experience in marketing, product management, and software development. What's your secret to creating products that resonate with customers?
I think there's 2 external aspects and 1 internal aspect that really helped me along the way deliver products that millions of people have used. The first is talk to customers. You can't build products sitting behind a desk. As much as we all like to believe that we know what we're doing and we're experts in our area, we're really not. The customer can tell you what they're experiencing today and a little bit about what they think they need in the future. And then the other resource are people who have been in that particular industry for a long time. Often you'll hear them referred to as subject matter experts or SMEs. At Symplr, when I needed something, I would turn to a longtime nurse or our chief medical officer and ask them questions about their experiences when they were actually providing care to patients, and how can we build software that's better for the end user. And really those 2 things helped immensely as I started thinking about how do I delight the customer. You as the product person eventually have to take all the information and make a leap about where you want to go in the future, and that's where you earn your money. And then I think from an internal perspective, you have to have high-performing teams, because if you don't have high-performing teams, you can't deliver quickly for the customer, you can't pivot if you need to, and you really need to be able to react to whatever the market is demanding as you go through your process of building for the future.
What's the best and the most efficient way to talk to the customer?
I have leveraged a framework wherever I've gone that has different levels of interaction with customers. We have a strategic level that advises the C-suite and the CEO on sort of the strategic direction of the market, what they're seeing, and that usually is some sort of advisory board made up of C-suite people in our customer base. The next level down is sort of for the product directors, another advisory board, but this is more about where the individual product areas are going, and then one more level down is a user level interaction with the product managers, who give them a chance to talk about priorities and requirements and where does the button go and what color is the button, and gets very tactical very quickly. But if you think about that framework, you've got the strategic nature of the market, the strategic nature of where that particular product area is going, and then the actual tactical framework of what's going on with the product. That gives you some insight at all the levels about where you really need to go from the customer perspective. And if you can meld all that together, it gives you a great foundation for putting your roadmap together.
What are some common mistakes companies make in go-to-market strategies?
I think there's a couple of them. One is just the pressure of the market itself to react to whatever you think the market wants or needs. Oftentimes the market will lead you in a direction based upon some sort of financial constraint or short-term objective where you are reacting to something that maybe you feel in your gut isn't quite right, but you do it anyway. And then oftentimes you find yourself in a trap. The other situation where oftentimes you run into trouble is not having enough education internally so that everybody really understands the market. All of your customer-facing teams need to understand the nuances of their particular part of the market, their particular product set, so they can really have in-depth conversations and be that trusted advisor for the customer. And if you can't do that, then the conversation very much becomes surface and focused on feature function. What does this button do? What does the product do? And it doesn't really get to the heart of the issues that are facing the customers. And so if you can do those two things, if you can really balance the market with where the customer wants to go and you can educate, you have a good chance of succeeding.
How do you understand where the customer wants to go? Through demos, through meetings? How it works?
Yeah, it's all of that. It's demos, meetings, trade shows, webinars, conferences, whatever you can do to educate yourself. The more you understand the market, the more you understand what the customers want to do, the higher likelihood is that you're going to put together a roadmap and you're going to build a series of products that meet the customer needs and actually provide a delightful experience for them.
What would be your advice if a company has a product it's about to release? Shall they start conducting demos even though they don't have a proper working product?
Typically, I sort of let it out of the bag a little bit about 6 months out from release, where it's close enough to use the Microsoft terms, a release candidate. At that point, you have a good enough feel for how it's going to go. It gives you two things. One, it gives you early feedback from the customers. Hey, you're on the right track. Maybe you need to tweak a few things. You still have time to react. The other thing that it does for you is that it creates some advocacy within the customer base and some people who might want to buy early. And then you can leverage them as references when you go to market and say, hey, I talked to this person over at that organization and this is what they had to say and they're happy to talk to you. And so if you can build some of that advocacy and some of that momentum, you have a really good chance of a successful launch.
Symplr provides solutions for healthcare operations. What trends are shaping the future of healthcare technology?
Oh, it's all about consolidation. Within healthcare IT right now, it's massive about consolidation. We've done a number of surveys at Symplr where CIOs have talked about managing anywhere from 30 to 50 to 300 point applications in their portfolio in the solutions that they provide for their employees. And that's just too much. There's a massive effort underway to consolidate to a fewer number of vendors and a fewer number of products to make it a better experience for everybody, for the CIO staff, for the employees themselves, for the vendors. It's just easier for everybody to manage. And so that consolidation is driving the market to fewer vendors who offer more choice. And that's what Symplr has done, is built a portfolio to satisfy multiple healthcare operation needs and integrated them into a platform experience to make it easier for the customers to truly be able to take advantage of all of these solutions.
How do you see AI and automation reshaping healthcare operations in the next few years?
You know, healthcare operations software is generally workflow software anyway. So by its nature, it's designed to automate day-to-day routine tasks, make things easier. AI and other types of automation are really going to help make it even easier. We've had a few use cases that we've scoped out where we connected one product to another product and automatically passed information. Seems pretty simple. That little one piece of connection and leveraging the automation involved there removed 3 emails, a couple phone calls, and potentially even a walk down the hall for the user to send that information to their colleague who's literally just down the hall. And now if you extrapolate that across the entire user base, we're saving our customers millions of dollars a year simply through efficiency of not having to manually move information around. And so AI and other types of automation are going to facilitate that for the healthcare industry. Right now, there's a ton of discussion around how AI can be used on the clinical side of things and working with patients. There's also a ton of opportunity on the administrative side where you can save time and money and drive efficiency through just small little actions, and they compound and support each other and just create a great impact.
How do you manage risk when making product decisions in an industry as critical as healthcare?
Yeah, risk is a big deal that we think about and talk about every single day within our product portfolio as we think about delivering products into the healthcare system. The first thing is just do no harm. Obviously, anything that touches the patient has a whole new level of risk associated with it. You need to make sure that you're not going to do harm to the patient. Anything that's tangential to a patient, you need to make sure that you're not going to interfere with the delivery of care and that it's fully reliable. And so you have to think about the architecture of the solution and availability of the solution to make sure that it's there and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And so your testing regimes that you put in place have to be very, very complex and deep. And then your operations to deliver the product have to be very robust to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. Then if you take a step back even further, there's security risk and there's just the continuity of the information. And so all of those have to be taken into account. So risk management actually is a huge part of any kind of healthcare related software, whether it touches the patient or not. There's a ton of information that's involved that needs to be protected, and you have to make sure you do it the right way.
What's your strategy for building high-performing teams?
There's a couple things. One, when I think about building a team, I first look at the team that we have in place. Can we up-level the team through education, through experiences, through exposure to new problems and tasks and opportunities for them to learn and develop? And then from a hiring perspective, whenever we have to either add to the team or replace someone on the team, we have to raise the bar every time we bring someone in. And so if you look at your candidates that you're hiring, you want to make sure that the person that you're bringing in is better than everybody else that you already have. And it might cost you a little bit more money, but you're raising the bar and you're improving and increasing the capabilities of your team along the way.
How do you ensure your teams stay motivated, especially during challenging times?
I've been fortunate in healthcare. It's a very mission-driven industry. The people that work in healthcare generally choose to work there for altruistic reasons. Motivating them to stay focused on delivering care and enabling the delivery of care is usually not something we really have to worry about. But it's challenging no matter what, whether if a market is slow or if your company is struggling to sell, that happens no matter what. And so helping people stay focused on the mission is really what's most important there.
Are there specific regions or countries that you find particularly promising for tech talent?
Our employee base stretches around the world. We have contractors. We leverage people in the US, in Argentina, in a couple of different places in India. We've had contractors in Poland, Ukraine, Colombia. We've had people all over the place. What always has amazed me is that no matter where you go, there are highly talented people, and it really is about your organization's ability to interact with them and support them and get the most out of their talent. And so I think geographically, it doesn't really matter anymore. And it really is about you and your organization and how you want to manage that relationship so that you can get the most out of whomever it is that you're working with, whether it's a full-time employee or if it's a contractor that's providing support for you for whatever your project happens to be.
What about mentality? Indian, European, South American mentalities are different. How do you adapt working with those different mentalities, habits, rules?
Yeah, I think each one has obviously different cultures, different ways of approaching work. Really, you have to do your research before going into a relationship with one of them, but you can leverage them in different ways. For example, the teams that we have in Argentina, we use them for nearshore support, in time zone support, and we use them for particular products where we need to have the ability to interact with them on a regular basis during the day. And we do that so that if we have to adapt to something that's coming back from a customer and we need to do it quickly, we're in time zone. It's easy to hop on a call. We can have that conversation. We leverage teams in other parts of the world for projects that don't require that nearshore or in time zone sort of support. And then we can really take advantage of the fact that we can leverage labor rates and the access to more talent to really go and do what we need to do. So we staffed up a few years ago for a big project. We hired 400 engineers in a quarter. We put them all to work, and we did it all in India because we were made the commitment to this particular project and what we needed to do. It worked out fine for us because we had an infrastructure in place to be able to support that. Similarly, when we needed to develop that nearshore support in Argentina, it was very quick and easy for us to put it together because we already had a relationship with that particular contract company, and they were able to help us stand up very quickly.
IT outsourcing is a major trend in the tech industry. What are your thoughts on advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing tech functions?
I think you have to go into it with eyes wide open and really understand what it is that you're looking for from a technology partner. Maybe you want to outsource a particular project on a fixed bid basis. Hey, I need to get this thing done. I need some augmentation support. I have this much money to do it, and here's the project. And the outsourcing can help you with that. Or maybe you need long-term augmentation support. I have 50 engineers. I need another 50 engineers for a 3-year project. We're going to form a long-term partnership for at least 3 years, because oftentimes it takes longer than what you think. Then you have a different kind of relationship because you're in it together and you are working and engaging as a team over a long-term project. The biggest, most important part, though, is to approach it like they are part of your team and not like a vendor. We are partners in this together. We are one extended global team. It doesn't matter where they are. And you have to learn how to work with them, like you said earlier in your question about sort of the cultural differences. Yeah, you need to be aware of them. But at the same time, you are all in this together because the US has its own cultural issues. And so everybody has to learn how to work together no matter what in both directions. And depending upon the type of project that you're working on, you want to approach it very differently to make sure that you have a highest degree and chance of success.
How do you see the role of IT outsourcing evolving in the context of your industry's future needs?
I think the pressure in healthcare for change, especially around AI and ML, is going to continue to develop. Security and cybersecurity becomes increasingly important over time. It's becoming a major issue for our customers and for the rest of the vendor community. I see IT outsourcing as a way to augment your internal staff, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. I think it's going to become a more and more important part of how we do what we do, and finding the right partner and sticking with that partner, developing together over time, helping ensure the partner understands the pressures that you're facing, the threats that are emerging, so that they can respond to help you. It's important. And that's why approaching these relationships as a true partnership is so critical, because they have to be able to understand where you're going so that they can react to work with you and provide the support that you're looking for as you face whatever the challenge might be.
As we wrap up our conversation, what advice would you give to companies considering IT outsourcing but concerning about losing control over their technology projects?
Ultimately, the control is always yours. You just have to be able to maintain it. And so you need to think through how you, first off, I would say go talk to people who have done it before. There are plenty of us out there who are available for conversation and really can give you some tips and tricks on sort of what worked, what didn't work, and how would you do it differently in the future. But ultimately, the control is always yours. You just have to make an operating relationship with your partner and put it into effect so that you can maintain whatever level of control you feel like you need to have for that particular project or for the ongoing nature of the relationship. We've been partners with some of our outsourcing contract partners for 10, 15 years, depending upon our product line, and we've never had issues around control. It's always been issues around making sure that we're communicating enough so that they know where we're going and so that they can anticipate our needs in advance.
Brian, thank you very much for joining my video podcast. The information about product, about outsourcing was extremely useful for my auditory. I'm sure they will like it.
Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it.
If you enjoy our discussion and want to stay updated on future episodes, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you will not miss out on the latest insights and conversations from the Devico Breakfast Bar. See you in the next episode.